Now it's time for Tennessee WildCast, live from Studio B at the TWRA headquarters in Nashville. Here are your hosts, Doug and Jason.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. I'm Jason Harmon, but a little different face sitting next to me today. This is not Doug Markham, this is Mr. Don King.
Filling in for Doug today.
Yeah, Doug's on a special assignment this week. He's not in the office today, so I drugged Don over from down the hall, and he's welcome. He's always welcome and happy to jump in. So.
You know, 9 times out of 10, I wear a logo shirt to work. Today I did not, so anyway, my bad.
That's all right. You don't have to have a logo on to be on this show, but we are excited about today's show. There's a lot going on in the world of outdoors. Turkey season is here and starts this weekend. The youth had a great weekend last weekend, so we're going to hit that hard today. But first, let's hit some other stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to congratulate you and Doug both. Last week's show blew the roof off of viewership on TWRA TV.
It did.
Your episode about Humphreys County was really good, really informative, and you know, I love David, the guest you had on, talking about the fishing opportunities up there, plus our new property up there that's really
Buffalo Ridge.
Buffalo Ridge. That's a great showcase for the whole focus of that place is to get people involved in the outdoors, and
Yep.
Donald Hosse's doing great work up there and making that happen. So I was really glad you were able to bring all that info to the folks and encourage them to go back and look at last week's episode if you missed it. So.
Yeah, TWRA.tv. Click on WildCast or go to the Pro Shop and click on our channel there, and it's episode 80, Outdoors in Humphreys County. We had almost 2,000 views, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's just on TWRA TV. We're also on Facebook. We were live on Facebook that day, and then we were on YouTube as well. So check us out at all those locations. Something big's happening this weekend, or this week, today and tomorrow.
The NASP tournament,
Yeah.
NASP, National Archery in the Schools program.
Mm-hmm.
It's really taken off. You know, that thing started probably about 10 years ago in Kentucky and caught hold. Tennessee caught the bug and started the program. Don Crawford heads that up here in the headquarters office and recruits volunteers from across the state and has gone over and done a lot of presentations to school boards and that sort of thing, and
Right.
and worked with a lot of phys ed teachers and other teachers throughout the school system across the state to implement this great program. And the kids love it, and the proof is that there's over 2,000 kids shooting in the tournament, statewide tournament this week. As you said, today and tomorrow, Thursday, at Miller Coliseum in Murfreesboro.
So is that the biggest class, I guess, the biggest state tournament so far?
Yeah, it gets bigger every year, and Don keeps saying, man, we got to find a bigger venue. But they're already shooting in 2 big barns. You know, imagine the rodeo arena. They fill that up, and then there's an overflow arena out back that they totally fill up, and it's gone from 1-day shoot to a couple of days. And they're shooting 3D targets, too, is another part that they've added to it. And the kids love it. It's
a lot of
great.
fun.
It really is. A great family deal because a lot of parents, grandparents, and aunts and uncles will come to watch their kids shoot. So it's neat.
If you're interested in the NASP program, want to get involved, you can email Don at don.crawford@tn.gov or call 615-781-6500. They'll get you in touch with Don, and you can learn about the program even more and possibly get it in your schools.
Yes.
Also, coming up soon, it's turkey season, so the Governor's One Shot will be happening pretty soon through our foundation.
That's right. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Foundation does a world of great things for our agency, and they're all about their whole reason for being is to help support TWRA, and they do a great job of it. And one of the fundraisers that they do through the year that's proven to be a really popular thing is the Governor's One-Shot Turkey Hunt. Started out in Pulaski many years ago, and it's migrated up to more central Middle Tennessee, and the big banquet will be at Saturday night at the Franklin factory in Franklin.
Yep.
The factory.
There's a few pictures of different or past years.
And it's a first-class deal. I tell you what, they line up some great guides. The folks that participate in the hunt all come in, and it's always been fun to help take photographs and stuff log in at the tote board as the birds come in, get measured and weighed and everything, and it's quite a banquet at night too. They have silent and live auction items that are top of the line.
So if you want more information on that, twrf.net, and that event this year is on April 13th and 14th.
Yes.
So if you want to be a part of that, get involved with that. And also something the Foundation's doing is a Wild by Nature weekend.
Something new to Tennessee. I got to go take part in the Georgia's version of this. They started it probably nearly 20 years ago, and they call it Weekend for Wildlife there in Georgia. And what it does is features excursions that people can kind of get a behind-the-scenes look with our biologists and our wildlife officers at the work they're doing, kind of throughout the week, and some really interesting things that they can participate in. They'll have a banquet on the Saturday night where they'll have auction items and things like that they can bid on. There'll be some entertainment.
Staying at the Hermitage Hotel.
Yeah, and what a great hotel. Very historic, right across from the Capitol, basically. A really nice venue for it. A lot of good things in store. So
still working up some of the details on some of the excursions and things.
Right. We've had some initial meetings about it, and really have some neat trips scheduled right here in Middle Tennessee. There's so much to see and do, and so anyway, encourage everybody to get online and check out that weekend, Wild by Nature, our Tennessee's Weekend for Wildlife.
Yeah, that's October 5th and 6th. Let's see, what else do we want to cover before we get into the turkey segment, turkey part of our show? Let's hit show Facebook real quick. We had a pretty cool post on Facebook yesterday, I believe it was, 23 hours ago exactly from the time we're shooting the show today. A West Tennessee alligator. We are not stalking alligators in West Tennessee. I want to say that, and let me look at the camera. We are not stalking alligators in Tennessee. But anyway, this guy migrated from probably down around Mississippi or somewhere, and came across the border and was seen in the Wolf River. And one of our officers got a shot of it, a little bit of video, and it's crazy the number of shares and views. Thank y'all for visiting our Facebook and sharing the video. 14,000 shares, 580 views, almost 500,000 or over 500,000, and then 3.7K on the likes or the surprise faces or the hearts, whatever you want to call that.
Right, yeah.
The impressions. But we appreciate y'all watching and visiting our Facebook. And thanks for the comments and thanks for the interaction. But yeah, that's pretty cool to see. We are not stalking them, but these animals will move and show up in weird places sometimes.
I saw it on almost all the news channels last night, too, as I was watching the 10 o'clock, and saw Barry Cross talking about, that he did reassure us that we were not stalking alligators, but that they were here at one time, back before, man sort of came along and or a lot of the settlers got here and made changes that didn't make it so good for them habitat-wise.
Right. So. Yeah. There's a lot of animals have roamed the lands of Tennessee that's right here now. So, all right. Well, let's get to our guest. Let's pan out and introduce our guest, Miss Joey Sweaney. She's what's your official title, Joey?
Well,
let me get your mic pulled up here. Sorry.
My official title is Wild Turkey Program Leader.
All right, and that's what we're talking about today is turkeys.
Yeah.
We're going to try to hit that hard today and talk about turkey season. It's right around the corner. Or the youth have been hunting last weekend, and the adults will hit it this weekend. But how's turkey season looking? How's the world of turkey right now?
Well, it's holding steady, I think. Just judging from looking at the harvest trend over the past 15 years, turkey harvest is sticking around 30,000.
Okay, awesome.
And don't expect anything different this year.
And this year, the season starts on, Don's got it in front of him there, the season dates. What's it? Opens this weekend, the 31st.
The 31st,
Yep.
yeah.
Closes on the 13th.
Of May.
Of May, yes. And you're allowed 4 birds total.
Mm-hmm.
One bird.
4 bearded birds.
4 bearded birds, 1 bird a day.
That's right.
Correct?
The only chance you'd have to go over that is if you go to a wildlife management area where they have a special designated hunt where the bird is designated as a bonus bird.
Okay. All right. And there's many opportunities to chase birds on the WMAs and that sort of thing. And make sure you check your guide. I think that's page 32, 31.
31.
31 in the guide, yeah.
You've had that guide on your dashboard, as Don said earlier, for the whole season, and it's about obsolete, but the turkey season, the spring season's the last thing in there. I
Got
think
the turkey stuff in there, and that was the one with the elk on it.
Right. So make sure you look back at the guide and make sure you know what size shots you can use and got the right weapon or means of take and got the dates right and not taking too many. So just make sure you check that guide and abide by the rules. And all the WMAs are in there, so you can see opportunities on WMAs and that sort of thing. We're going to show a video today that Barry Cross did for us a few months back, but it's a highlight in this study that we're doing, this turkey study that we're doing in 4 counties, correct?
5 counties.
5 counties.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a little highlights on what this study is, and then we'll show the video and come back and talk more about it.
Sure, yeah. The study is a cooperative with us and the University of Tennessee with some support from the National Wild Turkey Federation. And it's a long-term study. When you get into scientific endeavors, repetition. So we've got 5 years of field work set up, and the main thing is to just get out there and monitor a large number of birds. We're trying to keep 200 birds radio tagged, and from year to year. So every year we, whatever we've lost, we boost it back up to 200.
Okay.
And follow them and just learn about their survival, their mortality, their reproduction, how hunting, getting into the hunting effects, and we're also doing some human dimension surveys. So there's mail-out surveys to get into the minds of the hunters in those areas, and also we're doing a surveillance, disease surveillance. So for every turkey that we end up trapping, we take a blood sample and a fecal sample and do a disease assessment. So it's really broad range. It just kind of trying to get at what are the limiting factors for that turkey population.
Right. And they were seeing some declines in some of those counties, so that's why we
in harvest, yeah.
in harvest. So we focused our attention on those counties. So let's watch this video, and let's let y'all kind of get a behind the scenes look and watch some of the action and see it happening, and then we'll talk more when we come back.
I've always wanted to work with game birds, so this was really the ideal thing for me. I got a couple technicians with me. They're working with me through the whole project, and we also worked with TWRA. Officer Thurston's been helping us out with finding sites for us and baiting it and monitoring it with us. For the setup, that's just kind of a step-by-step process, making sure the weights are spread out so when the net fires, the whole net back end of the net spreads out too. Making sure the rockets are high enough that we don't catch any birds, but also low enough that we don't miss any birds flying out the back. We have 5 counties. We have Wayne County, Giles County, Lawrence County, Bedford County, and Murray County.
Between the decline in harvest and the input that we're getting from hunters, from landowners, from our wildlife officers that are in the field that are out there every day on the ground, all those pieces of the puzzle put together just told us that we need to look into this further, that something may be going on. And this is our way of trying to put all those puzzle pieces together and see if there's an answer. And it may not be one answer. It may be several things, or it may show nothing. But with this study, hopefully, we'll be able to see some trend.
They're right there. They're right by the tree. The one good thing about this is hopefully it'll bring in the other flock quicker. So basically what we're trying to do is figure out why the hunter-harvest levels are dropping within these counties. We're seeing big impacts in Wayne County, Lawrence County, and Giles County.
Bedford and Murray are the counties where we're not seeing a decline in harvest, and we don't have a lot of people coming to us saying they're seeing a decline in population or flocks.
So we're kind of using them as a control to see what's going on with the turkey population in those counties, different than from the counties we got down the south portion. It kind of shoots over, drops in, and pockets them. Once the birds jump up into the net, the rockets kind of start to pocket. In a situation with big birds, I probably would have shot already, but we only have 5. Initially, we had a group of toms. They strolled in, and there was 8 of them max, and I didn't want to shoot today without it breaking a limit on something. Those toms are coming. And then we had a flock of, I think it was 30 to 40 hens come in with a couple of jakes, and then the toms came back. And it was difficult because the toms ate all our food. So the hens were just scattered around. They kept going to the rockets and looking at them at the anchor lines. And we can't shoot when a bird's that close to a rocket or an anchor line because we don't want to injure or kill any birds. Ready? Go, 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 go! Take them. Rotate them. Oh, it's a big bird. Pick them, rotate them. We have 2 sites in each county. We want 10 hens and 10 males in each site. So within each county, that's going to be 40 birds. Lawrence County has an extra site, so they have an extra 20 birds. So it totals out to 220 birds in the study. This year, what we're trying to do is we're putting transmitters on these birds so we can monitor their movements. This particular transmitter that we're putting on is going to tell us where he is, and it's designed to give off a mortality signal. So if the bird doesn't move for 8 hours, the pulse rate of the transmitter picks up. And then when nesting season comes, we can monitor hen nesting, hen success, and then really once they have a hatch, we're going to go in there, we're going to catch the poults, the little chicks too, put a couple transmitters on them, and try to figure out the mortality rate of poults as well, and try to figure out also the habitat use. We're looking at habitat analyses for nesting sites and for poult and brood use. Since we have an adult hen here, we're going to do 2 fingers with roughly for the transmitter.
The ultimate goal for us is just to know what the birds are doing, how they are behaving, how much predators is making an impact on depredation, the nest success of the poults. We've never done a study like this, and so it's going to be a window into what our turkeys here in Middle Tennessee and Tennessee are doing, and where they're traveling, and what's happening to them.
All right, that's pretty cool. Some good stuff they're doing out there, trying to figure out what's going on with these guys and how our populations are doing. So, Joy, one thing that I was curious about just watching that, is there a benefit what's the benefit for catching a tom or a hen, or what's the benefits of one or the other?
Sure. Well, in particular, in the 5 counties, there's 2 sites in each county, and so that makes a total of 10 sites. And so at each site, the objective is to get 20 birds, and you're trying to get half and half, male and female, and that's just so you can look at the whole population. With the jakes and toms, in particular, we want to know how harvest mortality is affecting their numbers. So it's real important that we get a harvest rate on those guys, and you know, when you look at the harvest numbers in general, you see a large. Usually, it's like 20% or 15% jakes, and then 80% toms. And that has to do a lot with, you know, hunter selectivity. You know, you try to get a tom more so than a jake.
A bigger bird. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the more jakes you have, the more toms you have the next year.
Right.
And so, you know, just looking at that is real insightful. And then with the hens, of course, they're real important because that's what makes the population grow or not grow,
right,
depending on how well they do at their job. And so getting them radio tagged and then following them through the nesting season and the poult brooding season is real important.
And last week, I think it was last week or week before last, we had the commission meeting, and some of the folks from University of Tennessee that are doing the study came in, talked to us, and was giving us some updates on how the study's going. And they had some pretty cool information about these nesting sites and how they survived or didn't survive. And can you just talk a little bit more about what the results of the study have been so far,
yeah.
and what we're looking at?
So far, we've only looked at one season.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
so it's 1 of 5, right?
1 of 5. And seasons can fluctuate a lot from year to year. And so it's real important that we understand this as preliminary information and that it's just... ideally, we'll have a whole 5 years to look at. And, you know, we may have a tornado one year, or we may have, like... I don't know, some other kind of event that would just skew everything. And so you might feel like, you know, this is a disaster, when really it's just 1 year out of how many years.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. But so last year, it looked like the harvest was right where we would expect it to be. And so that's really good news. And then the thing that kind of was off a bit was the reproductive numbers. Our nesting rate of success. So you have a nest, and does it actually end up making poults?
Right.
That number was just a little bit low. Probably where it's okay. It's not great.
Right.
Poult survival was pretty low. So once the eggs turned into poults, those poults surviving to where they could actually fly and get away from predators. That first week or two, poults are little balls of fluff on the ground, and they're easy pickings for almost everything. And so, I mean, that's expected for it to be low, but I think it was a little lower than most studies find. And then the number of eggs in the nest was like 1 egg short compared to most studies. So we are kind of worried about the outcome of reproduction, and we'll look at that next year. And maybe it was just a wet season. I know there were some tornadoes that were happening right there on the study sites, and so it might be just that yearly variation, or maybe that's where we're seeing an effect on our harvest, and that's why it's declining. We just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Do you think the predators in that area are having an effect on those nesting? I mean, that's one of the biggest things that's affecting that. And
absolutely.
Is there a way we could curve that, or?
That's a real tough one.
Yeah.
It's a really, really tough one. I think the vast majority of the reason why the nest that didn't succeed was mammalian predators.
Okay.
And that's like your possums, your skunks, your raccoons. For the most part, it's those like meso predators, foxes, those middle-sized mammals.
Okay.
And so a lot of that, those mammals are doing really well. With people, they adapt really well. People see them out in their yards in the middle of the most urban situation that you can think of.
Right.
And so their populations have done well and probably are continuing to grow. Mm-hmm. And while that's happening, there's not a whole lot you can do. A lot of people go to trapping, let's start a trapping program. But there's all these transient, like outside of the main population, mesopredators. And so as soon as you take away the predators that you're worried about, whoop, those ones waiting on the rim just kind of fill in those pockets.
The vacuum gets filled.
And there's been a million studies that show that, a trapping program can have some good effects immediately. But the amount of money and time and intense effort that goes into it, you just can't keep it up.
Right.
And as soon as you stop, you're back where you were.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest thing you've learned so far from this first year? What do you think the study has brought to our attention? And
I think the biggest thing is concentrating maybe on creating habitat that is conducive to those reproductive seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So like a nesting habitat for a hen is a place where her eggs are hidden, but that she can still stick her head up and get a look at what's around. And so if all you've got are woods and a nice manicured pasture, then you're missing that key habitat that gives her that protection she needs for her nest.
okay.
And so I would say that one of the things the study is looking at is those kind of measurements to see what habitat is connected with the best success.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to see that, because that's actually something I think we can do and that private citizens can do in order to boost that that reproductive part of the turkey's life and then boost populations.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess folks at home could take advantage of those NRCS programs to
Absolutely.
help improve their farms and their lands with more native seeds and grasses and things like that, or whatever provides more ground cover for these birds and
Yeah, I
better
mean,
habitat.
if you're out there and you know you're excited about this study and you're in those areas and you want to help, then reach out to us, and we've got a private lands biologist that will come out and make a management plan for you and your land.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's just optimal.
It is, yeah.
Do you want to say anything about University of Tennessee and some of the folks that are involved there?
Yeah, sure. So the research project is coordinated by a principal investigator who's a professor over at the University of Tennessee. His name is Dr. David Buehler, and he is just phenomenal. He's been so good to work with, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. And the project has been going so well. All of our target goals have been met, and we're really, learning everything we meant to learn. So kudos to those guys. We've got a master's student who is just like the on-the-ground captain. And he's amazing, and he is working overtime. And when I say overtime, I don't mean 41 hours. I mean hundreds of hours
81.
a week. Yeah, he is just real serious, and he is dedicated, and I'm just real proud of him and glad to have him. His name's Vinny, I think Johnson.
Was that him in the video?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was him in the video.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our officers have just been great. They've been kind of, we've got at least 10 sites out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10 trapping sites. And we've got one master students and a couple of technicians from UT. And they can't do it all. And our officers have just been really dedicated, because it takes a lot of effort to get out there and put out the corn and then find out when the birds are coming in. And then you've got to go out there and administer these explosives. So it's a huge effort, and
Kind of a revival with that effort, isn't it? I mean, during the restoration times, that was almost an everyday occurrence, or almost. I mean, it was a lot more common to use the cannon nets and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has kind of been good for our officers, just to keep those skills up.
Right.
And so
That's a pretty neat adrenaline rush, isn't it? When the cannon net goes off and go get them.
yeah, in the video they're like, go. It was really cool.
So I'm sure you've jumped in there and helped them some too. You got your hands
Yeah,
dirty.
I got out there, and it's just really exciting. It just brought back memories watching that video. You get those birds under that net, and you got to get out there before they get all tangled up into it,
Right.
and get them out and get them in those boxes. And then once you get in the box, you can breathe easy and just go one at a time and do your measurements and draw your blood. And
Yeah.
That's
really
awesome.
fun.
Looked like it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to go jump in there one day. and
Yeah,
help
one
out.
thing I really want to do is, one thing they're going to do is put radio transmitters, and they did last year, on the poles. So on the little, so you can't rock net those guys. You actually got to get out there and just catch them, wrangle them up.
Right.
And I didn't get to get out last year, but hopefully this year I will.
I guess at a young age they're probably pretty easy to catch. Maybe.
If people can catch them, anything can
Yeah.
catch 'em.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to add, or something we haven't covered that
Well, I do want to say that the National Wild Turkey Federation, they were just instrumental in the restoration phase when we were out,
Right.
Trapping and relocating turkeys, and here they are again in this research project, just instrumental with their funding and their support of it, and so I just want to express my appreciation for those guys. We've gotten support from the national part of the organization and our state chapter, and the research budget nationally is it's limited, and the fact that they saw that this was an important study just really accentuates that it is an important study, and I just want to say thanks to those guys.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for being with us today and talking about this study.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And bringing everybody up to date on a year in, and like I said, we got 4 more years to go, and
then we've got a year of doing the math.
Mm-hmm.
We've got population models that we can run. The one thing besides habitat that we can actually tweak are our hunting regulations. And so if it turns out, that we do have low reproduction, we might be able to make up for that and reduce the harvest pressure some. But that's the beauty of having all this data is we can run a simulation and see if that would have an effect. And then we would be justified in working on our population, in that kind of intricate sort of way. So, but like I said, that won't be for
a few more years.
Yeah, until we do the math at the end of the study.
Yeah, and you can't cut a study short. You gotta get all those years in.
You got to. You just have to.
I mean, you might get some pretty good data out of a couple of years, but going the full length is the best way to go.
It is the best way to go, and I think in the video Tabitha said this is the first time we've done this in Tennessee. We've hit, if you look at the harvest graph from, 1959 until now, you see it's a sharp rise up until about 2000, which is when we stopped trapping and relocating.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll just see, those bumps, dips, and rises all around that 30,000 mark, and that's like a new age for turkeys. And it's something that across the whole United States we haven't studied that much because it's new, and we're just learning so much. So I'm just excited that we're doing it in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm sure that'll be shared across the nation too. Well, when you guys get this
absolutely.
study done, it'll be.
And there's a study
that
got started in Missouri, just a year or two before ours. Is super similar. So we'll learn a lot from each other.
Good.
Awesome. Well, we're about to run out of time, I guess, but I want to hit the turkey season one more time, show everybody that at home, make sure they are ready for that season. So it looks like this weekend, March 31st is opening day, and then goes through May 13th. Remember, 4 birds total, 1 per day. Bearded birds, 4 bearded birds, 1 per day. And page 31 has your legal hunting equipment and prohibited acts, special regulations, all that good stuff is right there on that page. So make sure you check your hunting guide for everything you need to know for this turkey season.
Or check out the app.
Yeah, download our app at the iTunes Store or Google Play. You can do that, and you can also check our website, tnwildlife.org, and keep following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're out there all the time trying to keep you all connected with us. So thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah, thank you.